almost back. Ah, he did this on 325. He had me write down 326, 327, and 328. And he took me to Strong's Concordance to show me. And he's confirmed this. The word that I listened to this morning from Bull for Christ was talking about the counterfeit now being removed, and these men are now returning to God. And the dream, got it. Okay. So on 325, God, if you look in the Strong's Concordance, it says King Asarius. So that was the day of the king. And if we look back into Esther, chapter 3, and I'm going to go there now. Oh, it's back here. No. Oh, chapter 2. Verse 5. It talks about Mordecai being a Jew, and he was the son of Jair, the son of Shemuel, who was the son of Shemuel, who was the son of Kish, who was a Benjamite. So I understood that this was about my spouse. And God confirms his word. You know, he's been telling me, this is the man I have for you. He wasn't in a relationship with this woman anymore, but they had a relationship, a type of relationship. He would close the door, she'd come back, be like, hi, how are you? And he'd be like, opening the, again. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but let me open that door again. And so he finally closed that door and said, enough, I'm done. And so remember, God, throughout the time that I've known him, we went from speaking in the natural to texting. He stopped texting. I continued texting. And I'm like, God, why are you having me chase this man? Like, you know that's not who I am. And he goes, keep texting him. Because now there's no contact. He can't see me. We're not texting each other. Now there's the only way, and throughout this entire time that I was texting him, I would tell him, you have a choice to make. And I am waiting for you on the other side of your obedience with God. Remember, God leads me, so God's in front. He's got to go to God first before he can come to me. I understand that. He has a choice. And I kept reminding him that. You have a choice to make. You have a choice to make. I've made my choice. I'm standing with God and I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to make your choice to become one with God. Because once you become one with God, then you and I can be together. Because remember, I did write down. Oy, oy, oy. God will bring it all back together out. I wrote down. Where did I write it down? What characteristics I was looking for in a man of God. No, I wrote down the characteristics of the man God has for me. God told me, don't worry about who it is. I just want you to write down what it is that you want to see, the character you want to see your husband have. And I read it to you guys then, and I'm going to read it again. And it says, a man who puts God first. A man who puts me first. Because behind God is me. There's no room for anyone else. There's no buddy. There's no cousin, brother, sister, nobody before me. It's me and him and God. And if God is leading me and God is leading him, there is no room for anyone else. Everyone else comes after us. He needs to be kind and gentle with me, strong in his convictions, hardworking and deliberate with his work, patient and understanding, courageous to speak his truth, honest and trustworthy, stands up for what is right, communicates his feelings in a healthy way, does not judge without understanding, supports me in my choices, opinions, and thoughts. Supporting doesn't mean that he agrees. It just means that he will have a healthy conversation about my opinions. He won't put me down because he respects me. He relies on my support and help, meaning that outside of God, I'm the only other person that is in his life, helping him, supporting him in intimacy. Not saying that God's not going to put people around him that are going to help him. But if I say, hey, be careful with that person, he needs to say, okay, what's going on? Why are you telling me to be careful around this person? And then God will help give him, open his eyes to see and ears to hear. Because remember, as his wife, I have a peripheral vision that he doesn't have. Because he's focused on what's ahead of him. And I have to be his blinders, seeing the things that he can't see yet and bringing it to his attention. Okay? Loves me unconditionally, meaning he's not going to say, oh, I'll love you if you can do this, or if you can do that, or if you can perform this, or if... No. Either you're going to love me without conditions, the only condition be that I love God. Other than that, no. It has to be a free-flowing love. You have to choose to love me every day. Treats me with respect and tenderness, encourages me to follow my dreams, is protective and strong for me to lean on. His steps are ordered by God, and he is an old romantic, because I'm an old romantic, because he's going to receive what he gives. If he treats me romantically, I come home from work one day and he's got flower petals leading the way to the bedroom and he's got a bubble bath going, you better believe he's going to be getting some of that same love back. You know, maybe I got home from work one day early and I'm making his favorite meal, giving him a back massage. He's going to get the same love he shows me. He's energetic and passionate because I'm energetic and passionate. Can't be unequally yoked. We have to have the same level of commitment to each other. So I am going back to you want to know what God just dropped into my head? He's like, back to life, back to reality. Because he's back to life. God breathed life into his nostril. Okay, so I did not know how you were going to segue into Genesis. So this morning, God had me in Genesis. And he stopped me to bring me Bold for Christ, where she talks about God breathing life into his sons. But they had to wait in a waiting room for him to decide that it was time to bring them out. So similar to my experience when I was living in my truck and the truck wouldn't go anywhere because there was no gas and the battery was dead. God had me there, and I was not going to be able to move until I released the fear. And I remember the day, the way that it happened, because I was deathly afraid. Okay? I was afraid. And the fear kept me bound, I was so afraid. And I got to the point where I was talking to God and I was asking him to take the fear away from me, to remove the fear that had gripped me. And one morning I woke up and I sat in my truck. And I was like, I'm still alive. I have had no food for 2 weeks and I'm still alive. God is keeping me alive. God is supporting me. I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. So God brought this man who was getting in his vehicle. He was a military man. And he was about to drive off to go to work. And I got out of my car. I was scared, but I got out of my car. And I said, excuse me. And he didn't hear me. And God says, louder. And I said, excuse me. And he turns around. He's like, where did this woman come from? Like, I've never seen her before. And I said, would you mind giving me a jump, please? And he looks at me and he goes, of course, I don't have any cables. I said, I do. I ran around, got my cables, and I told him, it's been dead for a while, so we have to let it charge. And so we started talking, and I found out that he just got married, and he had a roommate, and his wife really didn't like the roommate because the roommate was a mess, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, my goodness, yeah. And I said, well, I work at, 7-Eleven, because I had just gotten the job. And I had worked there, I think, a week, and the manager, the woman that worked there, had started to give me food. She was like, you know what? You're gonna take what you need. And I did. I didn't go like, oh, I'm gonna load up my, I took the things that she allowed me to take. And she did. There were days where I would come back to my truck and I'd had bags of food. And I knew, I'm like, God, he humbled me. Because this woman was literally letting me take whatever I wanted. It got to the point, after a while, that there was so much food that I was now sharing it with the homeless people. The way God wanted me to share it. Not, I didn't just, oh, here you go, this is for me. God would have me talk to these people. He'd let me, hey, give them a cup of coffee. Give them this, give them that. So it was according to his will, and because I was doing it according to his will, these people weren't coming in expecting free food. Okay? So looking at this moment now, God has been asking me, what's different? And I said, I'm different. You've changed my heart. You've changed the fear from what it used to be to where I am now. Like now I can stand. And I know the authority in which I stand. And so God had me, so after I listened to Nina, and I was in this chapter and he had me break off to listen to Nina. And God was like, look at the way that they wrote this. And I'm, And he goes, well, in chapter 1, verse 26, I create man. He created man to look like God, okay? To be the physical form of God. And he goes, but in verse 27, I created male and female. But yet, I didn't create woman until chapter 2, verse 21. So is there two women? And I was like, wait. So you first created this man and this woman to be equal. And this woman started making her own plans. She's like, yeah, no. I'm equal to you. I don't submit to you. And she started, because there's different Bibles out there with different versions, different dominions have different pieces of the Bible. And God is like, well, they kind of took it and they tore it apart. They took what they wanted, took what sounded good, and decided what they were going to publish. This is man creating their word based on what God gave them. Which is why God says, and Beaufort Christ says it's his word, and he can do with his word what he wants. And so I was sitting here and I'm like, okay, so you created male and female first, and then you rested on the seventh day. But he gave instruction. He gave instruction to Adam and saying, you need to work. You need to take care of everything I just created, and you need to have dominion over the earth. Now, he didn't tell him to till the land. He didn't tell him that. He said, take care of it. I'll create it. You take care of it. And so God created the Garden of Eden. It sprung up. Put trees, fruit trees, different kinds of trees, this tree, that tree. And there became rivers that ran through to water his creation. And then he told the man, I'm going to put you here, and I want you to keep it. I want you to take care of it. And that's when he told him, you can eat of every tree, except for this tree and this tree. Only instruction, do not eat these two trees. He's like, okay. Man did not, but he didn't blink. He was like, okay, I'm going to do as you tell me to do. And that's when God created the creatures. Even though he's resting from creating all of this world, now he's giving instruction about the creation that he created to Adam. He's like, I'm done working. I want you to take care of the garden. Don't eat those two trees. Take care of the animals. It's on you now, because I've done my job. And now Adam has to work according to the will of God. And as God was sitting there watching Adam, he's like, he needs somebody. I created that woman and she took off. She was gone. So I need to create a woman that is not going to run off. That is not going to be of her own will. And that's when God decided to put Adam in a sleep, a deep sleep. And that's when he took the rib and he created the woman. And I've always, because I'm like, God, why do we have to go through this ceremony? Like, why, when you presented Eve to Adam, that was it. There was no celebration. There was no going and standing in an altar. There was none of that. You just brought brought Eve. Actually, no, you brought Adam to Eve. You said, look, there she is. And it was when Adam recognized Eve as a woman, and I'm like, but God, Adam left his mother and his father, and he goes, I'm like, oh, he left you? He goes, no, he didn't leave me. He just cleaved to her. He depended on her to be. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't. So. But it's going to be like God intended it to be. Okay? Because now there's two people, man and a woman, who together, being one, only listen to God. There's not going to be any temptation. There's not going to be any falling, because we choose with our free will to be one with God. And that is where he's like, that is what the first marriage was supposed to be. But I knew it was going to happen this way, and I knew eventually there would be a pair, a man and a woman, that would come together, similar to the way I created the first man and woman. And they were going to choose me, meaning God, and then because of choosing me, I was going to show them who they belong to, and they were going to understand that they have to choose each other because they choose me. I was like, okay. So God had me write down the numbers 48, 45, 122, 222, 17, 47. And all of this came off of a word like, no. It came out, so I took a picture of, I took a screenshot of the word that Tara had posted. What was it? 7 hours before? No, 14 hours before. Which 14 was an important number because there was a 14 and a 14 and a 14. And then he brought another prophet, and she was talking about the importance of April and how Esther started her fast, and Jacob wrestled with the angel, with the Spirit of God, and there was one other one. So it was Esther, Jacob, who then became Israel, and there was a third one, Ruth. I think it was Ruth. And the number was 14 was symbolic of God and his timing and Kairos moments. And so these numbers were in the screenshot that I took. So the first number I saw was 48, which means exalted, cleansed, purified, holy, to consecrate. Now, if you remember, when we were born again, the day that we became born again, that date, we consecrated ourselves to God. Okay? So everyone who is delivered from sin and returns to God has to be consecrated to God. That was my husband's consecration, was yesterday. And God has been telling me, it's not any day now. Any day now. Expect him to come back. And I'm just like, okay. Any day now. There's a song by Ronnie Millsap. And the name of the song is Any Day Now. I don't listen to the song because the song itself is about treachery and cheating and all that, but it's the any day now. Every time God wants me to know, any day now, it's going to happen. Any day now, your life is going to change. Any day now. Okay? So he brought me the number 45 on 331, and now he's bringing it back again. 4-5. Yesterday was 4-5. And that is the 45 in the Hebrew means father of strength. In the Greek, it means to secure, it means an anchor, which an anchor is used to secure a vessel to a body of water. And so that's how he confirmed to me. And then he brings Tara to the forefront. And then, so I understood. I understood the confirmation that he has now returned to God. He has now made God first. And I celebrated yesterday. I really did. I hooted and hollered for God. Because this is a child who's now returned to God. Not because of anything I did, but because of who God is. This man has returned to God, and I celebrated for him. I celebrated for God, and I celebrated for my husband, because now he is being led by God, because he's put God first. And that's the first step. God will do whatever he wants to do. I love him, and I will not leave him. I will not walk away from him, regardless of what happens. But we both have to be in agreement to be with each other. And we have to choose to come towards each other. And the only way to come towards each other is to put God first. And so then he gave me the number 122. In the Hebrew, it means red. Tree of Life posted a community post. And she talks about the color red. Now, the color red is the symbolic of blood, okay? And my favorite planet is Mars. Who does she talk about? The planet Mars, and it being red. This is a confirmation of me understanding that my husband, in the Greek, the number 122 means stubborn, a goat. A goat is stubborn. And they're like, no, I don't want to do this. No, no. And he was stubborn. So God let him stew. Like Bull for Christ said, he was in a waiting room until God called him up. If you remember, I had a dream where he was called up to God, and I was held up by this woman saying, no, you can't go up there, because he has to meet with God first. And then once he and God had their union, their communication, their conversation, their come to Jesus moment, she said, okay, now you can go up if you want to. And I did. I wanted to go up to see God. And when I got up to see God, he's like, why are you here? I'm like, where are you? And he goes, I'm in the other room. Do you really want to see me? I'm like, yes, I do want to see you. And he goes, it's not time yet. It's not time for me to come home yet? He goes, no. Go back. You've got more work to do. I wasn't upset because I was being sent back. I was upset because I wanted to see him and I didn't get the chance. But God told me, he goes like, you talk to me all the time. Like, why do you need to see me? Because you're my dad, you're my father, you're my creator, you're the love of my life. And he goes, no, you need to go back. You have more work to do. I go, okay. But I didn't go back sad, meaning I didn't come back thinking, oh, God's sending me back to the earth so I can keep working. No, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to work because God needs me to do these things for him, and I'm doing it with the love of God because I'm here for a reason. I have purpose. I have meaning. And so this is all confirmation that he's now a changed man. Do not treat him like he was back then, because he's not that man anymore. And then 17 means, so he brought 17. And not what I was expecting. I was expecting victory because, I don't know. But in the Hebrew, it means alas, alas. Like, finally. Like, whoa. In the Greek, it means it means sorrow. So first, he went through his sorrow. First, he went through his pain. Because he was being stubborn. So God covered him in the blood of the Lamb and said, you're coming home. Because I know your heart. And you don't want to be alone. Without God. And so, he has turned a page. He has now become a doer of good. A man after God's heart. And then 47, God didn't have me look it up. He brought me Tree of Life.